Well, my pitch would be that we're in a nation at risk economically, at risk globally, from border security to what the challenges that we see abroad. And whenever you're a nation at risk, you need to pull together and you need to have a leader that can do two things. One, has the experience to address the challenges. And then secondly, has the capability of bringing people together to meet those challenges. And that, to me, is the case for my candidacy. There's no one in the race that has the greater breadth and depth of experience that I have at the federal and state level that matches the challenges that we face. Let me underscore that, because you can talk to a lot of candidates and they're going to have similar views, but who's been there, who's done that, who's realistic about it, and who has the best opportunity to get things done. And of course, you know my background. If you look at the challenge that we face in terms of the fentanyl crisis, well, I headed up the DEA. I've addressed that, the opioid crisis, and I know what needs to be done, and I know the challenges that it presents. Whenever you look at border security, that was my responsibility during the Bush administration. I've been there, I know the challenges of it, and I know what needs to be done. When you look at going after the cartels, I worked with President Vicente Fox to go after the Mexican cartels whenever I was in that position in the Bush administration. The economy, the greatest need that we have and the biggest issue here in the Quad City area, across Iowa, is the economy. And I know how to balance the budget. We did that for 8 years as governor, and the last time our budget was balanced in the United States of America at the federal level was when I was in Congress. And so I've done it at both levels. And so fundamentally, the challenges that we face, if you look at national security policy, I was in Saudi Arabia whenever we set up our first Homeland Security Visa Security Office after 9/11. I was there in Riyadh setting it up. Whenever we were threatened by terrorists abroad here in the United States, I was responsible in the Situation Room with the President determining how we could protect our country from the next terrorist attack. In times of crisis, I've been there for our country. You with respect. We can disagree, but you will see as governor, as a member of Congress, I worked on bipartisan legislation. Believe it or not, whenever the McCain-Feingold bill was presented in Congress, I was the leader of a bipartisan group of freshmen looking for a bipartisan solution for campaign finance reform. Now, it's a long story. Ultimately, that didn't work, but you can see that track record trying to work together. In Arkansas, you can talk to any Democrat, and sometimes they supported me, sometimes they didn't, but my door was open to them just like it was open to any Democrat. And that they were always treated with respect, and that is so critically important. Whenever you look at our country, we have had times of division throughout history. In my lifetime, it's been the Vietnam War, it's been the Civil Rights era, it's been violence on campus. We've been divided before, but the difference is we've always had leaders that tried to overcome the divide. And regretfully today, we have leaders that push the divide. And it's not just leaders in politics, but it's leaders in broadcast media that push a divide. And that makes it more difficult and more challenging. But you start with respect for the other point of view. You start with listening and trying to find common ground. And I have a history of doing that. I was chairman of the Southern States Energy Board, and we had pilot projects in carbon capture. And I do think that's something that has benefit, and it can benefit the farmers, it can benefit the environment as well. I do not believe that we should, one, expand further the tax credits. Now, we can keep the existing tax credits in place, but I'm not in support of furthering the tax credits. And then, secondly, I'm not in favor of using the power of government to take land for what I don't think is clear as a public purpose versus a private purpose. So let's talk about the differences between the candidates. You've got other candidates that say we ought to cut off economic ties with China. And one candidate wants to have a ring around the United States, a 10% tariff. We want to, a couple candidates say we want to stop normal trading relations with China. This would hurt our farmers. The Tax Foundation says that a ring around the United States would be a $300 billion tax on the American consumers. That it would it would cost us 500,000 jobs. I have a realistic, pragmatic, and more targeted approach. For example, I will invoke the Defense Production Act, which we use as a tool to produce vaccines here in the United States. I will invoke that to return the production of ammunition and ammunition powder from China back to the United States. It's those sensitive industries, pharmaceuticals, military supply chain, that we need to bring back. I would have a targeted approach, but I'm not going to punish Arkansas farmers or Iowa farmers because we get mad at them and we want to break off economic ties. The United States is a leader, but if we did that, Europe would not follow. We would isolate the United States of America from the second leading economic power in the world. That's not smart economically.
So,
well, I'm pro-life, but I would not be pushing for any national legislation. Now, I'm pro-life, and just to be totally frank, I mean, if there was a consensus and reasonable exceptions were present and reasonable restrictions, I would sign it. I'm not going to veto the bill. But I'm not pushing at the national level, and I don't expect that to happen. I expect this issue to be debated and worked through the states, with Illinois making one decision, Iowa make another one, Arkansas making a different one. That's, to me, where we are, both practically and the right political approach to it, because there's no national consensus. Whenever you look at the political side of it, the Democrats are going to make this an issue regardless of whether you said 6 weeks, 16 weeks. They're going to make that as divisive as they can. So we just have to approach it honestly, with a lot of compassion and understanding, where we talk about maternal health and we talk about improved adoption services, and just with compassion, recognizing these are not fun choices or easy choices for women to make whenever it's a problem pregnancy. And so, I believe in the 3 exceptions of life of the mother, of rape and incest, and you have to debate exactly where the limitations would be.